I just didn't know. I had no idea what was going on, except I didn't want to do it anymore. And at that moment, I thought the only way out was I was just going to ride that heroin train right on out. I was raised in what you call a pretty standard, pretty good household. I was taught the principles of Christianity. I did pretty good in school. I got a scholarship to a state university, and I thought I was going to go out there and take the world by storm. I like to drink. I like to smoke pot, and ultimately I discovered some harder drugs, pills, OxyContin, cocaine, heroin, and through the course of several years, my appetite for drugs and alcohol, it continued getting larger and larger and more voracious. There were a couple times in my life that I thought it was all over, that my life was over, and all I had to do was just die, and that was going to be the end. I shot up a cocktail of heroin and some other chemicals in my parents' basement, and by the grace of God, they happened to come down there within minutes and find me. And upon finding me, they called the paramedics, and they showed up. They revived me with, I believe it was Narcan, and took me to the hospital. And she was crying, my dad was crying, and I didn't really know what had gone on. The last thing I remember is shooting up in my basement. I didn't care about them crying. I didn't care about where I was. I just wanted to make it all go away. And I still had my needle and my drugs in my pocket. So I went into the bathroom and mixed up another shot in a haze. And I did it. And I walked out of the bathroom and I collapsed on the floor. And they revived me again. And when I woke up this time, there were lots of people in the room. Even the nurses were crying. And I just didn't know. I had no idea what was going on, except I didn't want to do it anymore. I didn't want people crying. I didn't want to hurt my parents, but I just wanted it to end. And at that moment, I thought the only way out was I was just going to ride that heroin train right on out. But God had a different plan for my life. I knew that if I died in the grips of one of my intoxicated overdoses, I wasn't so sure that hell didn't exist that I wouldn't end up there. So even though I didn't believe in God, and I didn't believe in the presence of God or any of this fairy tale stuff that they talked about at Heartland, I came here and I decided to do whatever it takes to change my life. I was in the hospital for 2 weeks recuperating before I showed up at Heartland, before my parents dropped me off here. And I tell you what, in a few short months, my life changed dramatically. And God showed up in my life, and not only did I realize that God wasn't a fairy tale, I knew He was real, and I knew He wanted to be Lord of my life, and that the only obstacle that had ever stood between that and between me having a good life and a relationship with God was me. And so I bowed my knee to Jesus Christ, and I'm so thankful that I'm not that man anymore that woke up in the hospital room with all those people that cared about me crying. And it's because of God and what He did through Heartland and Heartland's Men's Recovery Program and the people here that I'm alive today.